We're good?
Okay.
Okay, hold on, I'm refreshing here. Wait 1 sec. All right. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have a motion on the agenda?
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Do I have any discussion? All right. So we are voting on a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Mrs. Fishing votes aye. Mrs. Hovde?
Aye.
Mrs. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Valerio?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Aye.
All right. Our next point of business is to approve or not the hiring of an expert charter application reviewer. And this application reviewer recommendation came from CAXA, I believe, Dr. Stevenson, correct?
Yes, they gave us 2 recommendations. I sent both of those to the board for your review. One of them was about $1,500 and one was about $5,000 if you have those available.
Have they both reached out or just one?
I reached out to them, copied the board. They both reached back out, saying that they would be available in the time frame that you needed.
So one of CAX's concern, if I'm correct, is that the board and the DAC and all of us did not go through training prior to this process. So is that still going to be a concern moving forward with the new proposals?
Those folks did not list a concern. We didn't ask that, but yeah.
Any other questions?
The money is different. 5,000 sounds like a lot.
So when we go ahead and make this recommendation, do we need to pick which one now, or are we just going ahead and approving that we will hire one?
That would be helpful. There's such a disparity in costs that it would be helpful then to be able to reach out specifically to the person.
Sure.
Is the difference in cost because one does more than the other, or about the
They
same?
didn't explain.
They didn't explain.
So the 1,500 is going to be pretty similar to the last one that we did, the one that we had, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I sent all of the information to the board.
Sure.
It's our decision.
Okay.
Any further
So
discussion or
From what I could see,
questions?
there's probably not a huge difference. We're coming into a time frame. I'm fine with the 1,500. It's just somebody to review it from the outside. To go from there, I don't have the language here. It doesn't look like we have it here. It just says, I move to approve the hiring of an expert charter application reviewer. So there wasn't a differentiation between the two.
Yeah, I think we're just put that in as an example. You're always welcome to change the motion to whatever you'd like.
You could put it to as a cost not to exceed.
So if you don't mind whichever one, you could put it not to exceed $5,000. If you would like the lower one, then you could go with not to exceed the $1,500. If you want to name the specific contractor, you could do that too. It's really up to
It's up to you.
any of you.
Okay.
On the motion.
Us.
All right, I can go. So I move to approve the hiring of an expert charter application reviewer not to exceed $2,000.
Okay.
Just in case there's a little wiggle room.
Thank you.
I can second that.
Okay, do I have any discussion? All right. We're voting on a motion to approve a secondary reviewer for the MCA application, not to exceed $2,000. Mrs. Fishing votes aye. Mrs. Hovde?
Aye.
Mrs. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Valerio?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Aye.
All right. So, thank you.
Absolutely. I will reach out on behalf of the board and get this person lined out.
That'd be great. Thank you. Okay, so now we will be moving on to the portion of this special meeting, which is the special part of the meeting, in fact. I'm gonna line out the kind of the rules here and just remind everybody of the timing and everything else. And then we will go on and hear from you all, so we look forward to it. Okay. The board welcomes comments from our community members and has dedicated this meeting to provide an opportunity for the community to speak specifically about the Montrose Classical Academy Charter School application. The board is committed to providing a safe environment where all members of the school community are treated with dignity and respect, and expects all speakers to exercise their speech rights responsibly. The board has amended the timing for the public comment tonight. For this meeting, the speaker will have 3 minutes for their comments to the board. Then their 3 minutes, when their 3 minutes are complete, the board will have 3 minutes to ask clarifying questions if necessary. Speakers will be heard in the order they signed up, and disruptive speakers may be asked to leave at the board president's discretion. With a number of community members wishing to address the board, we ask that when you are done with your input, you may leave or you may move to one of the overflow rooms. There's an overflow room just down the hallway there, to continue viewing the meeting live. Please stand and approach the podium when your name is called. After being recognized, please state your name for the record. That's extremely important in case I mispronounce your name or I can't read the handwriting or something like that. It's more likely that I can't pronounce the name or I'm misreading something, okay? But please do. I will interrupt you and ask you to tell us your name again if you don't do that. All right. All right. We'll go ahead and get started. Laurie Connell.
Hi, my name is Laurie Connell. I'm in support of public school choice and the Montrose Classical Academy. A few reasons why I support public school choices are: 1, parents should be able to choose the public school option that they see best fits their child's needs. 2, I see a need for Montrose Classical Academy, a classical education, something completely different than the classes offered in the other public school options in Montrose County. 3, Montrose Classical Academy fills a void for a K-8 charter school. Over 190 parents are interested in their children attending the Classical Academy, even at this early time in the process. In closing, this tuition-free option deserves to be offered to every diverse group in the Montrose Olathe community.
Thank you. Does the board have any clarifying questions? Okay, thank you. Connie Pittinger.
My name is Connie Pittinger, and I come in opposition to approving the charter school. I went onto the website, and it's the website that was available to me indicated that this was going to be a tuition-free school already. I think that's a little presumptuous when the decision has not been made by this board, unless there's some very generous benefactor that's behind going to pay for that. So I think that touting misinformation is a very poor way to start off a business of telling people something that is not true. And on their website the information was very limited. I could not see what academic standards were going to be, what a curriculum was going to be, and it was very sketchy. And I think that the information out to the public is very limited. And I think that it just appears to me that this is a private school that wants public funds. So I would encourage you to vote no for the charter school.
Clarifying questions, board? Thank you. Sila Gardner.
Good evening, my name is Sila Gardner, and I am in support of MCA. I'm speaking tonight from both personal and professional experiences about the critical importance of public school opportunities. Excuse me. I'm a parent of 3 children who were once enrolled in the public school system. All 3 were bright, curious, and eager to learn, but they were failed by that system in one way or another. Each child had unique needs that simply weren't being met. One needed more academic challenge, another needed emotional support, and the third needed a learning environment that wasn't rigid and one size fits all. Instead of, sorry, I'm a little nervous, okay. Instead of tailoring support, the system pushed them along and under-resourced and overlooked. As a paraprofessional, I saw this play out not just in my own family, but in dozens of classrooms. I watched too many children fall through the cracks because the public school system is bound by bureaucracy, not by the needs of the individual child. That's why I'm a strong advocate for public school options. Charter schools and other alternative schools give parents the power to choose the environment where their child will thrive, not just survive. No one knows a child better than their parent. This choice isn't just about tearing down public school education. It's about giving every child and every family the right to pursue pursue the best education possible for their child. Charter schools, in particular, offer a safe haven for families who want to focus on the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, without the influence of political agendas. Families deserve the right to shield their children from ideology in the classroom and instead focus on a strong academic foundation. These choices empower families, and it promotes competition, innovation, and accountability. Most importantly, it recognizes that education is not a one-size-fits-all. I believe every child deserves a shot at success, and that starts with a school that fits their needs. Let's give families that choice. To give them an additional opportunity for children to thrive just seems like a no-brainer. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Michael Badagliaccio.
How do you say your name?
My name is Michael Badagliaccio.
Thanks.
The Montrose Classical Academy's approach enhances educational choice, offers an extremely valuable education option for Montrose County students. Much like variety is the spice of life, education is better when it is not cookie cutter, and options are available as everyone learns differently. This played out with the superintendent's own TLA experiment, which, quite frankly, is not new. I went through it myself in 4th and 5th grade outside of Montrose County. Rather, like MCA, it's simply different. Unlike what some believe, charter schools are public schools. MCA is no different. MCA is accountable to Colorado academic standards, just like public schools. Yet it provides a classical curriculum emphasizing critical thinking, math, literature, and history. It's a classical curriculum like what was taught to our founding fathers, like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. A classical education approach. It is open to all, including students with special needs and English language learners meeting state equity requirements. MCA's application of learning is refined, meeting and exceeding local and state standards, reflecting a commitment to academic rigor. Montrose's 2024 CMAS data shows only 30% of students meeting reading standards and 28.2% in math, with gaps for multilingual learners and students with disabilities. MCA's focus on phonics, literature, and Singapore math could address these challenges. MCSD spends $13,155 per student, according to the state data. Local data states around 11,000. And contrary to critics, MCA will not pull critical dollars from the district. MCA as a charter school would actually help to keep dollars in the district rather than putting them into private schools, which without choices like MCA would inevitably be the next option for many parents. MCA complements existing options like Peak Academy and Vista Public Charter Schools. Per pupil funding follows students, ensuring equitable resources. MCA is an opportunity to innovate with public education, meeting diverse community needs, and standard public schools cookie-cutter approaches just simply can't provide that. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Mallory Schmidz.
Hi, I'm Mallory Schmidz, and I currently have two students who are not in Montrose County School District because I don't agree with the way, not necessarily the education is, but things that are approached on our children that should be normalized, that it's just not a value that we align with. We currently go through the charter school in Delta, and my child is very proficient in advanced. She's going into 4th grade. My youngest will be going into kindergarten. The Montrose Classical Academy seems to align with our values, and I think that they will actually teach our children versus brainwash these ideologies on our children. And I do think for our community that that's a good option, and this is our future, so I think that we should consider allowing this in our school district. I am in agreement that we should pass it.
Clarifying questions?
What charter school way?
The vision, yeah.
Other questions? Thank you. Stephanie Williams.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Williams. MCA stated that MCSD lacks rigor and is failing. These are vague dismissals, but by what metric are they measuring the lack of rigor and supposed failure? I would like to congratulate MCSD for offering excellent educational opportunities for generations of families and commend MCSD for constantly improving upon services, accommodations, and facilities in this ever-changing world. My husband and I attended K through 12 in Montrose and graduated from MCSD, as did our children, our siblings, most of our nieces and nephews, and my mom in 1959. We have family members and friends who are teachers, active and retired. To me, this is a story of success, not failure. MCA might have been referring to standardized test scores, where all students have to take them. While those are important for funding, I'm talking about something far greater. The impact that the educational system in this small town has had on generations of people. I'm talking about a web of community between families, friends, teachers, support staff, volunteers, coaches, and administration. This web of community and connection is valuable and irreplaceable. Here are 3 examples of rigor, critical thinking. Our oldest son chose to go to Peak Academy. His science teacher, Doug Ecker, introduced drones to the STEM club when drones were a new technology. One of the projects they did was in collaboration with PhD students at Western Colorado University, making geospatial maps of archaeological dig sites. My son, a sophomore at the time, used a drone to take images of the dig site, which were fed into GIS software to generate the maps. Our middle son chose to go to Montrose High School. He was a 3-sport athlete with a 4.0 GPA and was the photo editor of the yearbook. Our youngest son chose to go to Peak Academy and made a goal for himself to graduate from high school in 3 years. We and the staff supported his decision to do just that. He's now in college studying environmental science. These are examples of rigor, but they aren't wholly unique, because thousands of students who attend MCSD schools have and will continue to have their own highlights and successes. Let's talk about rigor in another form. It's the rigor with which teachers and other MCSD employees get up every day to do their jobs. We adopted 3 Ukrainian children in 2010, and they were not only met with welcoming arms at Pomona, but with on-site ELL and counseling services. It took the whole school to bring them up to speed, and I'm forever grateful to teachers, staff, and coaches who had a hand in shaping the lives of all 5 of our children. Now I'd like to address the elephant in the room. Is Montrose Classical Academy a faith-based organization? Will they use the Liberty Common curriculum, which is faith-based? Rather than use taxpayer dollars, a private school is a better idea. Please oppose MCA. It will dilute funding for schools that already exist in MCSD. Thank you.
Clarifying questions, would you?
Oh, sorry.
What was your name? I just missed
Stephanie Williams.
Stephanie Williams.
Thank you. Ed Flores.
My name is Ed Flores. I'm a grandparent. I have 3 grandsons that are currently enrolled in Colorado West Christian School. And it costs a lot of money for my kids to pay for the tuition over there. We all pay taxes, and I believe you should support MCA because choice is not a problem. It's not either or, it's both and. So I support MCA.
Clarifying questions?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Thank you. Jody Wooden.
Jody Wooden, I support MCA, and with grandkids on the way, and my kids are almost grown, or most of them have graduated, but I want to think about the future, and I think it would be a really good addition to Montrose. Most of our community is conservative, and I know we'll have no trouble filling those seats. There's plenty of funding. I don't see that as an issue, and that's what I would really love to see our tax dollars go towards. And quite frankly, I'm not quite sure why we're still trying to push this when even the DAC approved this. And there's a real need for it in our community, and charter schools are statistically prone to success. So I don't know why we wouldn't just be welcoming this opportunity with open arms for Montrose.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Leslie Torres.
Hello, my name is Leslie Torres. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here tonight to show my support for school choice for our district and the public charter school Montrose Classical Academy. My daughter is a single mother who works an hourly job. She and my granddaughter live with me in order to make ends meet. As with most low-income families, the idea of a private school education will never be an option. A tuition-free public charter school would be a solution to that. However, unlike most of the school districts in the state with over 5,900 students that offer a K-8 or K-5 charter school option, we don't have one here, even though our legislature has declared it as a priority. The topic I would like to address here tonight, though, is one of local rule. Last November, according to the Secretary of State's office, 76% of all registered voters in Montrose County turned out to make their voices heard. High numbers turned out in all of the precincts. The question they were asked is, shall there be an amendment to the Colorado Constitution establishing the right to school choice for children in kindergarten through 12th grade, and in connection therewith declaring that school choice includes neighborhood, charter, and private schools, homeschooling, open enrollment options, and future innovations in education. 63% of the voters in Montrose and Olathe voted yes. While the measure did not pass across the state, voters in our county supported the issue. I'm sure that all of you ran for the office of school board director with the intention of representing the majority of the people in our area. And luckily, you have the numbers to show what the majority of people in our area want. So I thank you for taking your time to listen, And I just encourage you to vote yes for the Montrose Classical Academy.
Clarifying questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Yanel.
My name is Julie Yarnell. I am in opposition of the MCA. 4 generations of my family have attended the school system here and graduated from Montrose High School. We've all had a quality and robust educational experience that prepared us for higher educational degrees. Our degrees allowed us to work around the state of Colorado, internationally, and be fortunate enough to come back to Montrose and be productive members of our community. My mother and oldest child have been teachers in this district. This is what I know about Montrose County School District. We are so privileged to have dedicated, talented, and hardworking teachers on staff at the Montrose County School District to teach and nurture our kids at our schools. We have diversity, equity, and inclusion in our schools to accept all students and make them feel comfortable and accepted. We have defined separation of church and state in our schools. We have a variety of school options for students to attend besides our traditional school environment. Peak Academy, Virtual Academy, Outer Range, and Black Canyon High School are all successful examples of alternative curriculum options that students can attend. We have a publicly elected school board that helps with transparency to the public and leadership guiding for our school district paths. We have state curriculum guidelines and assessments to ensure that students are reaching learning goals. But we also have some challenges with aging facilities that need repair or to be replaced, and we don't have the funds to make these improvements. We also have challenges finding teaching staff to fill positions and pay competitive salaries. So what I want to know is, we don't really know very much about the Montrose Classical Academy. How can we be guaranteed of some of these same things with the Montrose Classical Academy? There are no firm curriculums set. There are no firm building plans. There's a charter board that will be governing over this school rather than our school district. We don't need dilution to our system. Our system works, and perhaps they would be better suited as a private school and have a further track record. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Forrest Faulkner.
A good pronunciation. Usually pretty butchered. Sorry, I had to make this speech on the fly. So it wasn't easy for me to be here tonight. I had to bring my daughter so my wife wouldn't be left doing bedtime alone with all the girls. I'm just here because my kids matter that much to me, and because I'm tired of the misinformation from people trying to tell us what's best for them. To those on the other side, I don't know you. I'm sure you're good people. For sure, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I hope that your intentions are sincere. But you don't get to tell me that my motivations are political, about pride, driven by power, or any of that. The only thing I care about is my daughter's future. This isn't personal for me. I don't have the weight of all, my kids going through the whole school system or being a retired teacher. It's not personal for me. I did go to public school though. However, it seems like everyone in opposition, their kids already went through the program. So I'm looking at the future of 3 little girls, 12 years of school, that it weighs heavy on me. It's important to me. And the whole tax argument is so silly to me. I pay the same taxes that everyone else does. I'm glad to pay them, especially if it means that underprivileged families, which I would have fallen into that category under the poverty line when I was a kid. I'm happy to pay taxes if families who can't afford like private schools can have more choice. It's so ironic to me. As an engineer, I have to think analytically that reducing school choice, making public money to only an isolated amount of schools actually hurts people with less money, right? Isn't that logical? Maybe I'm just getting late. But the whole, yeah, so that was one thing I just wanted to mention, because some people are bringing up taxes. So, for me, happy to pay taxes so that other families who grew up in my similar situation as a kid can have more school choice, can go to schools that maybe offer things that other private schools do as well, but they just can't afford it. To me, that is equal opportunity for all, and I hope you all would be in support of that as well. What are you doing down there? Dusting. Thank you. Any questions?
Clarifying questions? Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks. Cindy Ollinghouse.
Good evening, my name is Cindy Ollinghouse, and I'm here to support MCA for all the reasons that you've already been given. So I will not waste your time with more of my reasons, because they are the same reasons, and I thank you for your attention.
Clarifying questions?
What was the last name?
Ollinghouse. Leah Vanderloo.
Hello, board. I'm Leah Vanderloo. I'm here to speak about the advantages of having Montrose Classical Academy, a public classical charter school in our district. I believe it would draw more people to our county. You know, one of the first things that families look for when they're looking to move to an area are what kind of schools there are. So I think MCA would be a good draw for new people. Exactly 261 families have shown interest in the charter school who are currently not in public schools. Having a classical curriculum option would bring hundreds of new students into the district who currently are homeschooled or attend private schools. The district receives about, maybe around 11,000 per student every year. And if the charter school brings in 200 new students, the first year it would bring over 2.2 million into the county. The district would actually receive about 180,000, thus bringing more funds into the district, which is a good thing. It's always an advantage to have more school choices in our district. Some of our students would thrive in a classical curriculum setting. MCA would bring healthy competition in the district. As a result, Montrose County School District scores would probably improve. And since MCA would be a public school, it would be available to every family in the area, regardless of their income bracket or ethnicity. As you know, charter schools don't get to pick who attends them. It's open to everyone, and if more families apply than there are positions, then there's a lottery held, which knows no economic status, ethnicity, or gender. One of the arguments of the opposition is that MCA would be for elite families and that they should enroll their kids in private schools. This is a big misunderstanding, and that MCA being a public school would make it available to everyone. So I just encourage you to accept the application. Thank you for listening.
Clarifying questions?
So you said 261 families that have showed interest are all private school families? There's no public school
There's
families
no
in that?
public school in that, from what I understand from the person who keeps track of that. Okay, thank you.
Linda Gann.
Hello, my name is Linda Gann, and I support charter schools that are innovative. Montrose Classical Academy's application is not innovative in my opinion. The curriculum they propose is no more rigorous than the one being taught right now in our schools. At MCA's public meetings last spring and summer, they denigrated our teachers and our public schools, suggesting we're failing, don't offer academic rigor. That's simply not true. Last year's graduating class from Montrose and Olathe earned over $5 million in academic scholarships. We have rigor. They say parents need choice. Our community has a wide range of choices. Peak, Outer Range, Vista, Black Canyon. We have Maslow, Colorado West Christian, and John Paul. Our community has choice. MCA has been meeting with a small, passionate group of homeschool, private school parents. These parents had the choice to send their kids to public school, but chose homeschooling or private schools. That is their choice, and I support that choice. I do not support those parents now asking us to pay for their school. Based on their enrollment projections, they will pull over $2 million a year out of public school funds to pay for their school. We are not a rich district. How many MCA supporters voted for our high school bond? Yet they want us to pay for their small school? MCA points to Fort Collins Liberty Common School because of their high test scores. Liberty Common is 30 years old, and they still do not enroll enough students that are English language learners with a disability, special education to even count on the test scores. Imagine what our scores would be like if we only tested our AP kids. The proposed office building is inadequate as a school. How will ingress and egress be addressed when other businesses occupy that building? What about parking? What about the disruption to local businesses? But perhaps the biggest reason I oppose this application is the loss of local control. Staff at the charter school will not be employees of Montrose Classical Academy. They will be employed by a company named Minga that lists 2 addresses, one in New York City and one in Peyton, Colorado, El Paso County. I urge this board to deny this application, and I encourage MCA to open a private school. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Phoebe Bener.
Hello, my name is Phoebe Bener and I live in Montrose County. I'm a strong advocate for public education and for school choice. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you tonight. I would like to say I am not in opposition to the idea of innovation or school choice, but in support of public education that serves a student equitably. I know the decision you have to make is not going to be an easy one. I know it has also taken so much of your time. And I know that those proposing the Montrose Classical Academy care deeply about education, as we all do. But after hearing all the comments and reading the second application, which I must say was difficult for me to obtain, which shows it was just difficult for me to obtain, I believe this proposal raises serious concerns that should not be overlooked. The proponents of MCA state that they offer unique programs. But when you look at what they're offering, it is not anything that's already offered in our own schools in our curriculum except maybe Latin. When we create a new charter school, we just don't add an option to students who are not at risk and who are already existing their choice, but we shift public dollars away from our existing schools that are already working hard to with limited resources to meet the diverse needs of every child in our community. What does the future hold for funding of public education? As you guys know, our Head Start program has been obliterated with the funds being cut. I know you cannot base your decision on economics, but this is going to be a very real issue. This particular proposal, while it may benefit a select group of students, the reality is it does not meet the broader standards of equity and inclusion that public schools are built. We have to ask, who does this really serve and at what cost to the students we already have? Minga, that's like the scariest red flag I've ever read. When questioned a week ago about their validity and transparency, the only answer you received with good questions from you guys, we'll get together a packet for you from our representative, and the representative on Zoom said, I'm surprised at the questions you're asking. I wasn't prepared for these kind of questions. Well, what do you think? Safety, as we all heard last week, horribly weak. Not going to go through their weak plant proposals because you guys heard it and you know, and when you know, you know. They have no concrete viable plan, just a concept. I respectfully, as a former board member, ask you to vote no, not out of resistance to change, but out of commitment to fairness, sustainability, and the success of all of our students in this community. Thank you.
Clarifying questions?
Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ellen Angelis.
Hello. Montrose Classical Academy claims their curriculum is innovative. Really? Latin, cursive handwriting, and a heavy dose of 1842 nostalgia do not prepare students for the world they actually live in. Relying solely on classical education means missing relevant, diverse, and modern perspective our kids desperately need. And let's be honest, classical charter schools don't consistently outperform public schools. The results don't back that data. Let's talk about the proposed building, the milestone. Are we supposed to believe this is a sustainable plan? Who thinks the school in a shared business complex with 216 kids, or is it 190 or 261, is a good idea? Traffic, noise, and safety are serious concerns. Even school board member Ted Valerio, who works in law enforcement, expressed serious doubts about MCA's expectations of our already stretched thin police and sheriff department. Stairwells and elevators, a disaster waiting to happen. Will taxpayers be subsidizing this long-term rental? Will the building await MCA to get up and running? Just ask Elizabeth Classical Academy, which delayed opening by a full year. So what happens to the families that have the interest in the meantime? And speaking of those lists, who are these people? I've got 3 or 4 different numbers. Are they from Montrose or Denver, Delta? Now about local control. Mink Education Group is supposedly based in Peyton, but as we heard, New York City. Why not hire local experts and keep the dollars in our community? And who invited Kim Gilmartin and Brad Miller here? These are professional charter school consultants who make a living pushing charter schools in small rural towns. When you don't live here, it's easier to take advantage of people you won't run into at the grocery store. Some community organizations were confused while others were outraged as being listed as community partners. They listed reputable organizations in our community that simply do not endorse them. Bethany from Mata said no agreement was made. CJ from the Youth Museum was never even approached. Tanya Maddox from Our Town Matters knew nothing about community partners. Lisa from the Magic Circle said, I'm certainly aware of MCA, and I've had no conversation regarding a partnership. Ken House responds, the Montrose County Historical Society has not and does not endorse specific groups or movements. Looks like we'll be forced to respond. I reached out to 5 random people and organizations, and not one of them, not one, was optimistic or even receptive about partnering with them. Please reject this application. Invest in our community schools. And if anyone is desperate for a classic education, there's always the public library. Our public library won't cost the schools a dime. Thank you very much.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Marge Hoke.
Hi, my name is Mary Hope. I am in opposition of the MCA. These are very uncertain times in our country and our economy. Cuts are being made in the Department of Education in Colorado, and our district doesn't know exactly what the future cuts will be. So planning for the future for a new school is difficult. I really just don't feel this is a good time to start a new school. We need to take care of our existing schools and teachers and make sure that they have enough money for improvements that they need. Our district has many choices of schools for our students. Also, I don't understand if MCA is if it's going to get public funding, then why aren't they following the same guidelines as, for example, as our public schools in Montrose? I didn't understand that why they aren't following the para? And why does MCA need MIGNA as their educational providers? I've never, like the high school or any other school, our schools didn't need a educational provider to help them or whatever, so I don't even understand that. And I didn't also understand why MCA has many pages of waivers. And aren't they supposed to have the same rules as our public schools? If we're gonna be giving public money to them, I think they need to follow the same rules as our public schools. To me, public schools need to be accountable to the public and to the Montrose School Board, not to the MCA board or to MIGNA. I think the board needs to take a hard look at the waivers that this MCA has and why they have to have all the waivers. To me, it sounds like this doesn't sound like a public school. It sounds like a charter school playing by their rules with our public money for a school that will not be serving all children and all children in our district. So I'd like to keep our public funds for public schools, and if they would like a school, then I think they need to have a private school. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Ken Otto.
Good evening. My name is Ken Otto. Sorry for reading this, but I only have 3 minutes. I'm here to express my concerns with the proposed Montrose Classical Academy Charter School. I urge you to deny their application. According to the state of Colorado, a charter school must demonstrate that it offers an innovative curriculum to its local district, or should fulfill a need that our existing schools do not offer. MCA still has not demonstrated that it will provide innovation or that it would fulfill a need lacking in the district. In a prior letter, I described how the MCA's curriculum is detrimental to students in the modern world. That has not changed. It is also apparent that MCA is still struggling to find a facility. The proposed use of the Milestone building is lacking. It's a multi-use facility which presents safety and security issues for students. It lacks any outdoor activity area, kitchen facilities, or a gymnasium. Maybe it can be remodeled to resemble an educational facility? I don't know. There remain concerns with the demographics of the parties who have expressed an interest in having their children attend MCA. Can MCA demonstrate conclusively that it will reflect the district's minority enrollment of 40%, or its 37.7% of economically disadvantaged students? The loss of funding for our public school system is an even greater issue than when MCA first proposed their school. Today, federal funding for public education is being attacked. The state of Colorado is once again cutting funding for our schools as it deals with a $1 billion budget shortfall. The impact on our community's children is even greater this year than last. Another thing that has changed is MCA proposed use of MIGA group to provide educators, circumventing public teachers and the public employee retirement system. This is unfair to both MCA educators and public school staff. It undermines the retirement system for all public employees and existing retirees. Both MCA and the district would lose control of the school's educators and operations. Today, MCA is not only redirecting money away from 6,000 direct students, district students, to serve a handful of special interest individuals, it is also undermining our public school employees. This issue is not about charter schools in general, it is about MCA specifically. If we're going to approve another charter school in the MCSD, that school must enhance the educational experience of the district. An alternative school needs to operate synergistically with our district, not in direct conflict with it. If I believe that MCA would complement and enhance our district, I'd be speaking on the other side. MCA's proposal would only serve the needs of a handful of parents to the detriment of the majority of district students. I urge the board to deny the MCA application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? Thank you. Karen Sherman Perez, please. Karen Sherman Perez, sorry, I said that really fast.
Good evening. In case you missed that, my name's Karen Sherman Perez, and I'm here in opposition to the MCA application as proposed. Like a few others here tonight, I attended K through 12 in the MCSD. My mother taught home economics in Montrose and Olathe schools. And I will add that she was the best teacher at home and in the school system that I had through my entire 13-year career. It was a wonderful school system years ago, and I don't believe anything has changed. There are numerous examples of MHS graduates who went to Ivy League schools, state colleges, and even just down the road at the technical college, who have all gone on to do amazing things, and many who return to our community to make important contributions here. The Montrose County School District is a great school system with many excellent and dedicated educators and support staff. Despite the challenging environment young people are growing up in, and I might add that times have changed since our forefathers were schooled, so that's important to keep in mind as well. The MCSD has been innovative and is trying out new programming and learning experiences for Montrose's youth, such as the Outer Range Outdoor Education Program, STEM programming, Career and College Readiness Program, and cultural and linguistically diverse services, among many others. I think it's also a very challenging time, as we've already heard, to be in the education field, with limited funding and staffing and deteriorating schools, not to mention all the threats coming down the pipeline from the new federal administration. Because of these deficits, I'm deeply concerned about the use of taxpayer dollars to support a special interest charter school. The information available to the community does not indicate a plan for success or innovation and will only harm our schools and the students they serve by taking away public funding. I believe that collaboration is key to our community's success. I encourage the MCA to work alongside the Montrose County School District to help strengthen schools for all students rather than hinder its success. I urge you not to vote to approve the application for the MCA. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Joan Wford. Or Joan Wford.
My name is Joan Wford, and I'm a recent transplant from the eastern side of the mountains and have loved what I've seen in Montrose School District. I've been in education for 73 years as a student, parent, grandparent, educator, teacher, and other roles in education. And I have some real concerns about what I learned at meetings with the Montrose Classical Academy Charter School. The first meeting I attended, we were told that funding for the school would have little impact on the district's fiscal resources because many interested parents are currently homeschooling their students. In my experience, throughout my educational career, parents that choose to homeschool do it for a variety of reasons, not necessarily because they want a different curriculum. And I question whether that's a huge factor here. We also need to understand that charter schools in Colorado receive the per pupil funding based on their enrollment. And since Colorado is an open enrollment state, students enrolled in a charter school can also take classes in the public schools provided space is available to them with no benefit for the school that they are taking the classes. At this meeting that I attended, as a teacher, I listened to one of the biggest reasons to have a charter school is that they can hire and fire instructors at will with no interference from the teachers' union. In other words, without due process. This can ruin the career of a potentially good teacher. In public schools, there is a process that benefits both the school and the teacher. And I'm going to simplify this pretty much so because I want to get to it quickly. This is the process that happens. The administrator is expected to observe the teacher. The administrator and the teacher discuss the observations. If the administrator has a concern, both the administrator and the teacher develop a growth plan. If the teacher fails to comply with the growth plan, with interventions in between, if he fails to comply with the growth plan, the administrator has grounds for termination. And the teacher has the advantage of legal counsel by a lawyer provided by the union, so the teacher can appeal if the teacher thinks that this has been unfair. It doesn't mean, the only time that I think this system fails is when the process is not followed. As a teacher, I decided, on the other side of the mountains, I decided I was going to change it to another school in the district. And I was told,
That's your time, sorry.
can I say one thing real quickly?
No, we're gonna keep it really strict, otherwise I'm not gonna be considered fair. Does anybody have clarifying questions? Would you mind, you can certainly send you have it written down, so why don't you shoot it to the board? That would be good.
I would be happy to.
Shoot it over to us.
May I say that my grandson's at
Nope.
outrage?
We have to be fair. Okay, Patty Hill.
My name is Patty Hill, and I want to thank you for hearing us tonight. I am a retired teacher of over 30 years, and I just want to say that I have witnessed students and schools of all sorts, and I'm here to encourage you, you know, if the application passes snuff, is to give this a chance. Being in education and being in the classroom, it was all about the kids. It's about the kids. I know that there's so many other issues with teachers and money and administrating and buildings and all that, and that's important, but it really is number one, the kids, because I saw so much of my time was taken up not with the children and their education, and it was really hard to, at the end of the day, not feel guilty because I didn't give everything I could to the children because I had all this other stuff. So I ask you to focus in on the children, give this a chance, see how the kids do. You know, if it fails on its own, right? And we can walk away and say we gave it the best shot. But if not, there's always going to be that nagging in the back, what if we could have, what if we should have, what if? And so I just ask you to consider the children, consider, you know, and when I see parents and children and they're motivated because they have a buy-in to something, their scores, their interest in education, they skyrocket. They do really, really well when they have everybody, you know, is invested and they're moving towards the same goal. And that motivation and that involvement of parents and children together, that's a three-chord strand, like with the school district and parents and kids. And that is a strong support for children. So please consider the children, give it a chance. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Jane Ryan.
Good evening, my name is Jane Ryan. Thank you for giving me this time. I'll be short and sweet. I have a couple concerns about the budget from the MCA as it seems to increase each time there's a presentation. There also will be duplication of services, for example, a computer lab. Also, and security. School districts have been developing and refining security procedures and training for decades. They are the experts. There are several choices for parents currently, and I don't see a need to stretch education dollars further. I'd like to thank the school staff, the school board members, for all the time and effort that you've put into review the application. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Norma Marcen.
My name is Norma Marcen. Equality. I know that most of you believe in equality and want to do the right thing. As you already know, I was born and raised in Mexico. As you already know, my family was dirt poor. We lived in a house with dirt floors, corrugated cardboard roofs, no running water, and an outhouse. But when I went to school, I was just like any other kid because we all wore the same clothes, uniforms. From 1st to 8th grade, I attended public schools wearing a uniform, and nobody knew how poor I was. I excelled at school, which allowed me to dream big. I had a career related to aviation for 44 years until I retired from the federal government. I have traveled 43 out of the 50 states: Canada, Costa Rica, Cuba, Asia, the Middle East, and throughout Europe multiple times. But the biggest dream that I achieved is breaking the cycle of poverty. My 2 sons are successful in their own profession and are now raising their kids, helping them to reach big dreams. 2 of my grandkids live here. They are 4 and 6. I strongly believe that if I had not had the blessing of attending schools wearing a uniform during my formative years, I would have not achieved my big dreams. Uniforms are the great equalizers. Please provide our poor children with equal opportunities to dream big and have bright futures. I implore you to do the right thing and approve the Montrose Classical Academy. Questions?
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Maria Sherman.
Good evening. My name is Maria Sherman. I'm 13 years old and have mostly had a classical education. I am here in support of the Montrose Classical Academy. I have written this speech because I feel strongly about having a great education option in Montrose, from my experience. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle says, "All who have meditated on the art of governing mankind have been convinced that the fate of empires depends on the education of youth." Having had experience in both classical homeschool education and modern education in Montrose, I believe every family should have an option for a classical education. A lot of memorization would be taught in the early grade levels with songs and rhymes. When the brain is developing in the early grade levels, memorization work gets planted in the students' heads. My grandmother still remembers songs she learned in school decades ago. In my experience, if children memorize one song or rhyme, they want to do more. When I was in 5th grade, I had such fun learning poems that I decided to memorize all of Paul Revere's Ride by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. From a study done in 2024 by the Annenberg School for Communication, only 65% of Americans could name all 3 branches of the government. 15% could not name any. This shows a significant gap in the typical American modern education. It is important for voters to know how the government works before they determine how it should be run. Kathleen Hall Jamieson, director of the Annenberg Public Policy Center, says, "Civics knowledge matters. Those who do not understand the rights protected by the Constitution can neither cherish nor invoke them. Those who do not know which party controls the House and Senate may misattribute credit or blame for action or inaction." Most of the support speeches have come from parents with school-age children, and almost all of the opposition speeches have been given by parents whose children have graduated long ago or long-retired teachers. And the school system in Montrose was different a generation ago. Since I am an actual school-age child, not a retired teacher or even a parent of a school-aged child. I would much prefer this school. Not all parents have to choose this school, but there should at least be the option. Accepting this charter academy would give an option, not a requirement. Thank you for your time.
Any clarifying questions? Thank you, well done. Nancy Kelso.
Hello, I'm Nancy Kelso, and I have spent half of my life as an educator, and most of those years here in the school district. I want to say that for the record, thank you for having us tonight and offering this opportunity to speak. But I do not support the proposed classical academy. I feel that their mission statement is no different than what our schools are offering right now. We all want our kids to have critical thinking skills when they leave. We all want them to be lifelong learners. We do not need our limited resources to be spent on another school, a new school, that will not be part of para. And I'm also really concerned about the location that you want to place the school in. It just is not a very good atmosphere for children. And with all of our concerns about safety these days, I feel like that's just going to drain our resources even more to think of the possible safety issues there. So I oppose that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Carol Antolovich.
Hi, I'm Carol Antolovich, and thank you for letting us speak tonight. I am a former teacher, and my mother and all of her siblings were teachers. And when you were first considering Montrose Classical Academy last year, I emailed all of you several times to support the school, and each of my emails contained links to documents that verified the information and data I had. And I learned all that data, all that information through the mainstream media. I did not go looking for it. The first was that charter schools are not a partisan issue. Governor Polis, a Democrat, founded one charter school and co-founded another. And former U.S. Representative Bob Schaefer is headmaster at a charter school on the East Slope, on the Front Range. And by the way, his school has set records for the highest ACT and SAT scores. My second email did speak about statistics about test scores and how good charter school test scores are. My third one showed how charter schools better serve non-traditional students. And since those things, I learned just recently, well, this year, that the president of the Colorado Senate, a Democrat, suggested that school districts that have low test scores be allowed to have charters without even having the school board to approve them. If you need that information about where I got that information, I would be glad to get that to you. So just like other people, I think that choice in our lives makes all our lives better. We don't just want to go to the store and have one brand of something. One size does not fit all. Competition should make all the schools better, just like competition does in anything that we purchase. And an additional public school choice would make Montrose an even more attractive community for current and future residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarifying questions?
Can you email us that website or that link?
About the Colorado President and Senate. Okay, yep.
Thank you. Ken Huff.
Thank you for holding this meeting. My name's Ken Huff. I'm a Montrose native, retired classroom teacher from another district in Colorado, and the current president of the Montrose County Historical Society. And I'm here not necessarily in one way, side or the other, but to deal as a representative of the society. The mission statement for the Montrose County Historical Society states, the mission of the County Historical Society is to preserve, display, and interpret the historical and cultural legacy of Montrose County and its surrounding region. This organization has not in the past, nor will in the present, or should not in the future align, affiliate, or support both financially and or publicly any special interest group. Membership can choose to do as they wish individually. However, the society will not encourage one cause over another. We request that the Montrose Classical Academy to refrain from using the Montrose County Historical Society as a supporting entity in their campaign to establish a charter school in Montrose. The Historical Society encourages all educational organizations, public and private, to expose their students to the historical heritage available through age-appropriate activities and presentations supported by the museum located in the Rio Grande Train Depot building and grounds near the railroad tracks on the west side of Montrose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? Thank you. Lacey Sanchez.
Good evening, my name is Lacey Sanchez. I just want to be very clear that a classical form of educating students is innovative. Both my husband and I attended MCSD and graduated from here. Both my parents were public school teachers and have over 60 years invested in time. My husband and I also are taxpayers, and we pay our fair share of taxes into our educational system. Yet my children don't benefit from those taxes at all. We are a homeschool family. That was solely our decision. We elected to do it. We are proud to do it, and we don't judge anybody else who chooses not to. However, I do feel like we should have a voice in how our funds are used and allocated, and this is my voice in support of the Classical Academy. Children all learn differently. We all know that. If we are truly concerned about educating our children up for the betterment of our community and society, every single person should be on board with having the Classical Academy in our community, offering another means of structured education for our youth, which has already proven to be a successful program throughout the country and in particular on the Front Range. This will help our children to be able to thrive, those who attend it. The implementation of the Classical Academy would actually acknowledge that parents would have a resource to utilize in order to support their child's individual learning needs, such as my family. When my son showed signs of learning struggles, I found a classical curriculum that transformed his way of comprehending and absorbing materials being taught to him. The classical way of learning has been the smoothest transition of his learning and has given him confidence in learning. And you know what is so interesting about that? I would have had immense trouble and struggles with my child if I would not have found the classical form of educating. My daughter, she learns always. She has a great mind to be able to absorb everything. My son does not. But the classical curriculum that we use allows him to be able to thrive. What worked for my daughter didn't work for my son. So with that, how can we possibly deny that to other young developing minds, which we have seen so radically in our school system, that our children are learning differently. And we have so many children that are falling behind. What if we could offer them a classical form of curriculum that would allow for them to thrive just as my son has been able to thrive? We have to remember that the best environment for a child's learning abilities differs from what possibly the Montrose public education system offers. Thank you.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Joe Klug.
Hello, my name is Joe Klug, Joe Johnson Klug. I am a retired teacher. I have lived in Montrose for 58 years. I have 2 adult children. who went through the Montrose School District K through 12 and are functioning, tax-paying citizens. Bottom line for me is the money. I am not willing to pay for the MCA's version of public education. I am willing, very willing, to pay for a brand new high school, which we desperately need in Montrose. I am also willing, and this is a personal thing for me, to pay for a curriculum that requires 2 years of government and civics education. When you graduate from high school, even when you're in high school, you are going to live with a form of government for the rest of your life. And it's very important to me that you figure out or you learn how that government works and how you participate in it. That's all I have to say. I applaud the efforts of MCA, and I hope they get a really good private school. Thank you.
Questions? No? Okay, thank you. John Brown.
Good evening, my name is John Brown. I am a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, and a great-great-grandfather. My wife grew up here. She graduated in the school system. My daughters graduated in the Montrose school system. I have grandkids that graduated through the Montrose school system. I have great-grandchildren that are currently active in the school system. And I have a great-great-granddaughter that's just waiting for the opportunity as soon as she's able to think, to get into school. It seems what I'm listening to is that we have a lot of discussion about where is the best place to get to school. Everybody learns differently. Everybody sees things differently. And what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a reluctancy of the school board to accept change, to accept that there is something possibly more efficient than the school system that we have right now. What is wrong with offering a chance for somebody to get a better education, to offer somebody a chance to have a little bit more of an opportunity to grow in their lifestyle? I would see an opportunity for the Montrose School District to approve the MCA. Give it a 2-year trial period or something like that. I think you'll find that the finances that people are squawking about will be a wash. You won't see any degradation from your current system. And if the scores from the MCA just happen to be better than the scores that we're getting from this current school system, isn't that a win for our children? I think that's what we need to be looking at. What is the best for our children, not for our kingdoms that we want to create as adults, not for the changes that we're looking for. We're already through in most of our areas. Now we should be looking at what our future is, and our future is our children. They need every possible opportunity for that future. And I think through the MCA, it gives them one more opportunity for choice. When homeschooling first came out, there was a big squawk. Everybody was upset. Oh no, they're not gonna do good. Homeschooling has far exceeded the average scores that we're seeing for school districts throughout the state of Colorado. Wouldn't that be something that the MCA came out and had to say? Thank you very much.
Clarifying questions? Thank you. Tricia Murray.
Good job.
Trish Marie, I'm gonna make this really quick. stating that my husband is a retired school teacher, so I absolutely understand and appreciate everything that school teachers in the public education system go through. One of the issues that I see with the NCA is that diversity. When we are looking at what is best for our children, we want to look at diversity. And by allowing this charter school to come in, we know we have a track record of charter schools that are successful. This is a charter school, it's successful. Children do not learn the same way, and so this gives kids an opportunity that are not excelling in this area to excel in a different area. Therefore, I support the Montrose Christian Academy, and I hope you will do the same. Thank you. Questions?
Clarifying questions?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you all for being here this evening and for taking the time to speak with us. That is much appreciated, and I'm sure all of the board members will find those comments and thoughts interesting as we continue to ponder the application. Can I have a motion?
I motion that we close our agenda meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, to clarify, we're voting on a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mrs. Fishing votes aye. Mrs. Hovde? Aye. Mrs. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Valerio?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Our next meeting will be on June 10th, and then we will have another on June 24th.